Buongiorno and ciao. Welcome to the Grapefully Yours Wine Podcast, coming from the beautiful downtown studios of InsideLowell.com. I am Jim Campanini, the co-host of the show, with my good friend, the wine butler, Mike Pigeon, who's off camera. Mike,
Salute.
how you doing, Mike, today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, you have a good holiday?
Yeah.
Drink any good wines?
Oh, a couple, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I kind of mix in after days, but
You've got a radio face. I don't know why we don't put you behind the
I know,
camera
that's
more
right.
often and everything, you
I'm
know?
a rough cameraman.
And today we have a very special guest with us today, very special, VIP, David Messina. He's taking a big role. He's a sales manager, wine director now.
I'm the man of many hats.
He's the man of many hats. You've heard me mention the family-run business many times, the Wine Connextion in North Andover. It was started by David's father Sam and his aunt Tina. I think in 2008.
2009.
2009. And Dave is very accomplished in his own right. He graduated right up the street here from UMass Lowell, business degree.
Yep,
Business degree.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's been drawn into the business, and he's basically he's done a lot of good things. I've been going to the Wine Connextion for years. Dave started. He convinced his father to go into more spirits. They started what's the back room called with the.
Well, the back room initially started as just a small spirits area, and eventually from there, it's completely just come out from there. Now you saw it on the sales floor. Now, I mean, it's full blown wine, beer, spirits now, everything.
And talking about getting young blood, and Dave's also been big in bringing in new beers and new wines. They've got a great selection of IPAs.
A lot of local craft stuff.
Yeah, a lot of craft stuff. And so how is it working with your father?
I mean, we get along. Everything works out well. He doesn't get on me too hard, and I don't get on him. But every now and then we gotta, put it to each other. Where we put each other not in our place, but hey, you got to do your role, I got to do my role, and vice versa. But we always make it work in the end.
Well,
It's teamwork.
David has. If I had to do my career all over again, I would like to do one part of what David does in his job. He tastes all the new wines and he helps make the selections with his father and his aunt about what wines to bring in. But David is taking over more and more of that role. I see him at a lot of wine tastings throughout the area and stuff. And boy, that's a great job, David,
It's a great job. I meet a lot of really nice people, really fun people, interesting people from all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really cool about it, from Argentina to Europe and all over.
Yeah, and your father is quite an accomplished traveler. You're visiting different winery areas and wineries throughout the world.
It's coming up.
It's coming up?
It's coming up. I mean, we had a little bit of a hiccup there in, 2020, 2021. I was supposed to go out to Italy for Vin Italy, and that never happened because of, everything.
COVID, yeah.
And so I have some plans for the upcoming years for a couple places I'd like to see.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, when I talk about the Wine Connextion, I tell and write about it. I tell people, it's a great place to learn about wine. And it even lists it on your website. And just here's how you spell the Wine Connextions with an X.
With an X.
Okay, so and they're listed, and they're in North Andover at the First and Main Plaza, right across from North Andover City Hall.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay,
Absolutely.
nice spot and very, very accommodating. But yeah, it's a place to learn about wines because they run almost weekly free wine tastings. So why don't you tell us a little about the place and what the mission is besides selling wine, beer, and great spirits at the store?
Yeah, I mean, it's every store, there's been so many stores now and the expansion. I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day, and I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told from 2015 when I started full time in this industry, started in 2011 when I was working in college, and then in 15 full time, there was 22,000 liquor licenses
In the state of Massachusetts.
I've heard
Wow.
that number has
Yeah.
now jumped
Yes.
almost 11,000 licenses since then. So now you really have to diversify your store, and that's where we kind of come in the education part of wine, beer, and spirits. You know, it started off as wine. We always did the wine tastings, but we try to focus now more on, you know, educating the consumer about the next upcoming area, you know, that you should look at, you know, what's in your wine. Look at wine as a food commodity, you know, because that's how it basically is at the end of the day. It's a food commodity in the alcohol sector. So, you know, there's been a lot of mass production wine out there now, and I'm seeing a lot of backlash from customers where I can't drink wine anymore. It gives me a headache. And one of the
And
things,
just to clarify, that when you say mass production, it's not being made at a winery, right?
it's just, you know, it's a name,
Yeah.
and they grab the grapes from wherever. There's a guy in a lab concocting, you know, something that tastes the same every year, or if it doesn't have a vintage. So that's where we kind of come in to educate the consumer, you know, try this small mom and pop guy, like this Crocetto Chianti, you know, like you said, $14.99, great value, real people, real wine. That's kind of where we try to come in with, especially with the tastings. I mean, the tastings on Saturdays is the easiest way to get into wine. And never mind the 20 wines we have on tap at all times with our tasting machines in the store.
Yeah.
That's something we like to offer to customers that can't make it to the Saturday tastings. Because you hear people, oh, busy with my kids, you know, I got to go here, got to go there. So it's one of those things where we try to offer the tasting machines, and then sometimes, you know, we want to get more back into doing seminars and stuff like that, because we used to do those before too.
Yeah, and I remember pre-COVID. I mean, the Wine Connextion was packed on Saturdays with those free wine tastings. Then you had the grand wine tasting, usually in October, and where they feature 80 wines, food, and everything. I mean, it's quite a thing to embrace the public like that and all your loyal customers throughout the years. And do you see that? I know things. You know, you had to, like all businesses, you had to reduce a lot of that because of COVID and stuff. Do you see it coming back now? Because you are getting back into a regular pattern, it seems. And
yeah, it's slowly coming back. I mean, 2022 was definitely like a fly by the seat of your pants year for the most part. It was like one of those things where we had certain things planned, then we would change something up. Whereas before we would have a set schedule. This was the schedule, nothing changed. Whereas now we kind of have, for this year, 2023, going into this year, we sat down, me, Sam, and Tina, you know, we looked at what worked, what didn't work in 22. And we think that, you know, you just have to keep doing them and doing them and doing them to get them back to where they were. Because people are slowly coming back still. There's still some people that we see, you know, doing curbside pickup, which we offer through our online website. And those people still haven't come back in, and they're not comfortable to come back in. So that's okay. We offer that tool for them. But the people that are willing to come out, come to the tastings, come on down, you know? And so that's what we're doing. Slowly but surely, they'll get back there.
well, I've gotten some of my best columns at the Wine Connextion with my friend, the Wine Butler. I mean, we've met some great winemakers. You've had Michael and David Phillips, you know, the Freak Show. They make the Freak Show wines, and also some nice premium Earthquake Zinfandel was one of my favorite. I met Nick Goldschmidt there, you know, and several others. And I mean, I just think that's incredible that you can bring in these people to talk to, you know, your customers and stuff and explain about their wines. And it's just a great day. So what are some of the trends you see for the coming year? Anything different? And I want to also add that the Wine Connextion, I mean, they have wines from all over the world. It's a global operation. You can not only California, Washington State, and Oregon, and even New York State, but they have Chile, Argentina, South Africa. They got a great selection of wines that usually sell below market rate. I mean, you beat New Hampshire on almost everything.
Yeah, we try our best with that. Thank you. That's one thing we always try to put in people's brains. You know, if you're here, come here. You know, you don't have to go north of the border, especially price of gas now and everything else like that. But I mean, the trends, back to your question, seeing where in my store at least. I mean, I think we always operate a little bit different than every other store out there. Um, I see, especially with my staff that I have now, my guys are great. You know, they're especially I have a ex-industry guy. You know, I have a guy who's worked part-time in the industry for almost 25 years now too.
Hmm.
So some pretty experienced staff. And you've met Terry at the tastings,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
enthusiastic he is. I see a lot more people branching out back to European wines again in my store at least. Especially over the holidays, we had a lot of people coming in. You know, they come in, you get the typical, can I have my cab and Pinot and whatnot from California, but a lot of people saying, oh, I want to have some Italian wines this Christmas. I want to have some French wines this Christmas. What would you recommend and pair with those? And I'm like, it's beautiful to say, 'cause those are food oriented wines that are for, you know, kind of the masses.
Do you think it's because not only the quality of the wines, but because of the price point? Some of these California wines, you know, they're great wines, but they're going through the roof and the pricing.
I can agree with you on that. I think it's the overall quality, and I think it's the drinkability, and definitely the pricing. I mean, you know, prime example is one of my wholesalers. We were having a meeting. I wish I had the picture to show you guys here, but he goes, "This is why this area is going up." He goes, "This is this property in 2019 shows this beautiful picturesque Napa background," and he goes, "This is it in 2020, and it's just completely in flames." Unfortunately, that's just how it is. So it's you know, everything going on in the world. People forget about all the fires that happened around the globe. I mean, there was Australia, there was France had some fires in Burgundy, there was frost, there was hail. I mean, it's endless. So yeah, no, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people have gone to the European wines at my store at least, and also because they feel comfortable with my staff helping them out.
Well, I don't know how you do it, but I looked at some of those beautiful Bordeaux wines that you had. Oh, Saint Emilion. I mean, you're selling for like $40 and below, and they're just, you know, I look at a couple of wine services, a couple of them I pay for to get their reviews and stuff. And those, you're talking about 92, 93, 94 point wines.
Yep.
And you guys have some great connections. And this is why you know, 2 weeks ago, your father said, try this wine. And I picked it up. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Italian wines. And Chianti Classico has had some great vintages the last couple of years. I mean, the weather has been good. The Tuscany, the weather, and it's just amazing. This is a 220. Cricetto is a winery, family-run winery. It goes back to the 16th century. This family that owns it has owned it since 1897. They're into their fifth generation. Small family run. When I say small family run, it's not a huge winery, but they do pretty good. And I was just amazed that this is a DOCG wine, which means it's the highest quality tier in the Italian government regulating system. And you know, it's got to be aged for up to 2 years. Okay, it comes from a great site. I think this is Greve, one of their subzones in the Chianti Classico, the historic zone region. And it's Sangiovese, 80% Sangiovese by requirements, but this has actually 90% Sangiovese. And then there's only 5 other authorized grapes that can be used in the blend. But I couldn't believe how the smoothness, the elegance, and I've purchased Chianti Classicos in the Grand Selezione, which is now the new category that costs like $50, $60, $70 and higher. And once again, your father, did you pick out this wine or did your father?
We kind of both did, believe it or not. When we had our Italian tasting, we tasted through, I think, 20 wines that day, and they were all killer 20 wines. We had to narrow it down to about 10 from there, and that made it. I just thought for the price point, that was unbelievable. And that's their entry level.
Yes,
so their higher end stuff is incredible.
So it's Querceto, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes, sir.
Crocetto.
That's it.
And it's a Chianti Classico DOCG. They still have it at the Wine Connection. You should go up there if you like Italian wines, or if you just like it food wine. My wife and I had this. She made a homemade pizza, and we had a little salad, and it was absolutely, I mean, fabulous. You know, it was just fabulous. So, anything else in the now I think we talked to your father the other day. He said that you'd be bringing in some new Italian wines. Are they?
Absolutely. I mean,
And he said also about the now you guys have to worry about the shipping because it takes so long for these orders to arrive and stuff. So
yeah, that's certainly been an ongoing battle. Is the ETAs, you get estimated time of arrivals from these wholesalers. What anything that says 6 weeks, I basically add on another 2 to 3. Still, we're still seeing a lot of issues with that, especially. I mean, we're definitely looking to bring in more Italians and more French again, as we see, our customers trend towards those. And then I'm actually going to start looking at a group of South African wines from one of my wholesalers. And what was the other area? I'd like to go back, do some more stuff with Portugal again too.
Yes.
Just great value there. Absolutely.
very good. Yeah. So what do you prefer? Whites, reds, everything, beer?
Believe it or not, I don't drink as much beer as I used to. I rarely do now, actually. It's mostly I drink a lot of wine, and people always ask me what's my favorite one I drink. It's the next one. It's just there's so many different varietals. It's impossible to choose and have a favorite. If you had to narrow it down, I would say I drink actually a lot of white wine. It's my girlfriend prefers mostly white wine, so we drink a lot of white, but we've been into more reds now as we get into winter.
Sparkling wines?
Sparkling? I love sparkling. I think we don't drink enough sparkling wine in the United States, especially compared to the rest of the world.
I've been saying that.
But if I was going to go sparkling, I think Cremant is a great area for the value, especially
French.
Especially with the prices of champagne being, $40 to get just into the category.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place, really. There's so many different ones. It's hard to pick a favorite. And
You've actually got a great cava in your store.
Yes.
Spanish sparkling wine, a couple of those, and the great selection of Proseccos and stuff. And now you have that new category, the Prosecco Rosé.
Yes, that's been flying. I mean, we only have one right now, and there's probably one or two more I'd like to add in that category, but it's amazing how that stuff just flew off the shelf this holiday season.
Why don't you tell us a little about this wine you brought in?
Yeah, it's kind of it's funky, very funky label. I don't know if you can get it on there in the screen there. Yeah, there you go. So it's Fossil and Fawn Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. That is what is considered a natural wine. It's a very weird category in the sense where it doesn't really have many designations. This is 100% organic. It's all small batch, like all natural, every which way possible. No spraying, no nothing. And reason why I picked it is just because there's a lot of misconceptions about natural wines and how they can be made, and a lot of the wine is natural. People just some people want to just branch off and make their separate area of natural wine, and this is one that I brought because it's very approachable if you're trying to get into that category of natural wine, because some can be very funky on the palate, very acidic, almost very dirty in the sense where it's especially if you're new to that area and you're not a seasoned wine drinker, that may be something that will throw your palate off. Where this is something I tried, and I actually was with a group of friends. One of my favorite things to do with I have my wholesalers pull me a sample is I just can't drink it. I like to sample it with a group of friends and get their reaction. So I was with a group of friends at a party, just poured it around everybody, and the consensus was, this is great, bring it in.
Wow.
So and that falls under $25 for a Willamette Valley Pinot Noir, which I think is a great price point. Again, another area that's gotten hit pretty hard in the last couple of years with their vintages between frost, hail, too much rain, and whatnot. So I was always been a stickler towards this one area too in particular. Never was really a fan of Willamette Valley Pinots, and I just think in the last couple of vintages they've really come around and they're showing very nice right now, especially for their price points.
Well, the Wine Connection has a great selection of Pinot Noirs. I mean, the pricing goes, all the way from $12 a bottle right up to $60-$70 and,
Yeah.
and higher. So you've
higher,
got a
yeah.
great the Bell Gloss has always been a great. I've been a fan of the Bell Gloss, and you've got the Clock and Telephone vineyard there, and the Dairy Man. I always vineyard. So I've always been a fan of those. But it's the middle tier you got. They're so great, La Crema and Landmark, and some great wines for the price. That if people wanted to get into Pinot Noir, if you've never tasted Burgundian wine, but there's a great way to get into it and then spread out and stuff. It's
coming back again where you're saying about trends. That's one thing I saw is Pinot Noir. I mean, more and more people were coming in asking for Pinot Noir, and I think it was just a lot of people got palate fatigue over COVID. That's what I've been calling it, is palate fatigue, where they just came in, they knew what they just had the blinders on, they went right in, and they just bought their same wines for almost a year straight. And like anything else, that will burn your palate out. And people came in, and I still remember this one customer. He's a great guy. Put his basket down, and he would just goes, "I can't drink this stuff anymore." And I'm like, "Come take a walk with me." And gave him all these new wines from different areas of the world, and he was loving them. Wow. So it's kind of one of those things.
I think. What do you got this weekend for tasting?
So this weekend and next weekend, we are reviewing the top wines from the tastings of 2022. Kind of like a recap of, from our tastings that we started in February of 22 all the way to pretty much November, December of this year. Of 22. So we're just going to be picking out one from each. I want to keep the price points a little more comfortable, because we had some, I'm sure as you saw, some higher end tastings towards the end of the year around November, December. So figured I'd make it a little more wallet conscious, keep them under 20.
But I think I think those are. I mean, those are very impressive, and they're great. Like you said, you're educating the public. I mean, they want to know. Well, gee, what is an $80 wine or $100 wine to taste like? I mean, I didn't even know Hess Collection put on a premium wines like that. I mean, I love Hess Collections. The 15 and under, 20 and under. But when I bought 2 bottles of that. One of the Cabernet blends there.
The Mount Vita.
Mount Vita.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
It was, because I tasted it, and they had $199 bottle there. Okay,
I know.
But to the public to come in and taste a $200 wine for free, I mean, it was just amazing. And I settled on that. I said, geez, the $200 wine, it was good, but it's out of my price range. But that $52 wine, which retailed for $70.
Yes.
And you would sell it for $52. I mean, and I wrote about it in one of my columns. If you go to thewinenovice.com, you can read about it. I mean, it hit the sweet spot. And that's why I tell consumers, when you see a bottle of wine that's been, that's discounted, it doesn't mean that it's going bad.
Exactly.
They're bringing in a special day. They get a special price, and they're pushing this stuff out. You guys sold a lot of cases of wine that day.
We absolutely did. And I mean, going back, if I can reiterate on that higher price point, when we did our grand tasting this year, we cut it back from 80 wines, and we said, we don't know how it's going to show up with people. I said, my dad and I, let's just do like 20 really outstanding wines. The cheapest was 30. I think the most expensive we had that day was $120 a bottle. Everything sold. Yeah. Everything sold. Yeah. We were pouring $100 Montrachet, and I was shocked that the people we sold out. People went nuts for it. So it's nice to be able to taste that stuff, because you'll never know.
So the Wine Connextion is a unique place, something that I regularly go to. The people are friendly, the workers are knowledgeable, and you can go to the Messinas. They're always at the store, and ask them for suggestions. They're not going to oversell you. They're going to ask you first, what do you like to drink?
Yep.
And then you go from there. So they're not going to oversell you or anything. Well, first of all, everything in the store, they've got a yellow tag on every bottle, and they tell you how they beat the nearest competitor, so you can check the pricing yourself. They're not gonna lead you astray. So it's fantastic. But if the wine butler can help me, there's a wine I would like David to taste in my little case out there. Can you get that? Because he did talk about Portuguese wines. I just want him to taste this wine, and we got a few minutes here, just to give me his recommendation.
absolutely.
So what he thinks about my wife, the wine goddess, picked this up. We just opened this up, so it's a fresh bottle. It's Water Dog Reserva from Portugal, and I actually met Jose Maria, the winemaker, Jose Maria de Fonseca, which is one of the top wineries in Portugal. And this is all Portuguese red wines. Most of them now are all blends. Okay, and the good thing about this is the Touriga Nacional grape that is used in this as a blending partner is now being adopted by a lot of winemakers in California throughout the world to take over for Cabernet Sauvignon because of climate change. They're finding out the Cabernet now is over ripening and stuff, and this would be one of the grapes that they would use. They started planting it in California.
Got a great nose.
So it's called Water Dog because in Portugal, you've heard of the water dogs, okay? It's named after that. And it says basically, the Reserva, it's aged a little longer. That's what it usually means and stuff. But it's got a nice tannic quality, dry, but it's got that fruitiness,
I like that. No, yeah. You feel the fruit up front, but then it kind of just... the tannins take over in the finish, but not too much. How long has that been open? Has it been open? 2 days. Okay, wow, that's holding up very well.
Yeah.
It's holding up very well.
She's probably going to make meatloaf with it tonight or something.
Hey,
or
why
pasta,
not?
But I like it. The second day wines. I mean, I think they oxidize a little and stuff, but nothing like drinking wine in the morning too. But
Palate is freshest in the morning, they say. No, that's very nice. I like that. Again,
so
the value of Portuguese wines. I mean, I have to ask, what did she pay for that?
$10.99.
Beauty of it.
And she bought it. She picked it up at Costco.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. So it was. Is actually she bought it because of a friend who had a Portuguese water dog. The dog recently passed on after 15 years.
Wow.
So she bought it for him, but we hadn't seen him through the Christmas holidays, and I kept seeing it. So I finally opened it. I said, "You're gonna have to get another bottle for Kevin," But we liked it. So
I like it.
So anyway, well, that's good. So talk to Sam. Maybe people will look at it, and because you are going to look at some more Portuguese wines.
Absolutely. I'd like to do another tasting with them. When
Yeah.
we did that, it was very successful.
Good. Well, David, I'm glad to have you on the show. It's a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having me, Jim. Seriously.
Any closing thoughts for our audience out there? Embrace them, bring them up to the Wine Connextion.
Well,
It's only 10 minutes
we'd
low.
love you to come up, but just be open to wine. That's what I like to tell people. Don't be afraid to try something new. I know it might seem uncomfortable, but I mean, a good wine shop will steer you in the right direction, and they're still out there.
Very good. David, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great week, everybody.
Salud.
May the wine be with you.